It's time for Money for Lunch, where we feed your brain and your business with supersized portions of business and financial news. Now your host, Bert Martinez.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Money for Lunch. It is Monday, and we're super excited because it's Monday. I know it's kind of weird, but if you're a business owner, if you're an entrepreneur, you love Mondays, don't we? I mean, it's just time to roll up your sleeves, get to work, and start off with renewed determination and vigor, right? I mean, that's what Monday's all about. Anyway, lineup today is fantastic. We have Carl Schumacher. He's a return guest. You guys have heard of him before. He's an executive recruiter / career coach, and I had sent him an interesting resume I found online. He's going to be talking about that. Carl Schumacher, as I mentioned earlier, has been an executive and technical recruiter for Electronic Search, a premier wireless staffing firm, since the year 2000. He is also president of Executive Career Coaching, where he works with individuals and groups as a career coach. Through his many years in the employment and staffing industry, he has successfully recruited and coached thousands of individuals in finding new jobs and expanding their careers. As always, Carl Schumacher, welcome to Money for Lunch.
Hi, Bert. Great to hear from you again.
Well, thanks. Okay, so I sent you this resume, and guys, you can check it out. It's Phil, D-U-B, Dub. It's PhilDub.com, and it looks like a Amazon page. It's very creative. And so let me ask you, does this kind of creativity work? Why or why not?
Well, obviously for Philip, it did work because within 2 months he had 1,500,000 visitors and a new job.
Right.
But the real question, so the real question is, though, will it work for other people? And sadly, in most cases, the answer is probably no. Now, the reason why is that what Philip did was he put together something online for a job that's online. He's a web content product manager. So the kind of people who would look at his resume would be impressed with what he does. But if he was an accountant or a construction worker, I don't think it's going to work too well for him. But what he did, and the idea behind it, is what's critical. The main thing that he did was he realized what his right audience is, and he marketed to that audience. And because he marketed to the right audience, they were interested, and that is the key to what he did. And that can be applied to anybody.
Yeah, you know what, and it is creative, and you're right. If you're a lawyer, this kind of creativity, or a banker or a CPA, this kind of creativity may not be for you because, as you mentioned, it's not for your audience. But if you're an online content developer, web marketer, online advertising, internet culture type of person, then this is kind of a cool thing. And I think, as you said, I mean, he had like over 1.5 million visitors, and he found a job. And we contacted Phil, but he has never responded. I'd love to interview him and see exactly, what the results were. I mean, he had 1.5 million visitors. How many job offers? How many people told him, "Oh, that was cool." I mean, but either way, it is kind of a neat resume. All right, so let me ask you this: what are the keys to writing a resume that really works and gets you interviews? What's your key on that? Okay,
well, I mean, this is a big subject. I'm going to try and keep it as best I can because, quite honestly, I don't have a resume in front of me. But let me do what I can with this. First of all, once again, you need to realize your resume is a marketing piece. Now, Webster defines marketing as the process or technique of promoting, selling, and distributing a product or service. So your resume is your way to promote your product or service. Now, say you're a large company and you're marketing by doing a commercial on TV. You wouldn't market to everyone. You would actually market to a specific demographic, which is what he did.
Right.
In the current economic conditions, companies are not hiring people just who are smart. They're looking for very specific things. So your job is to market yourself in the right way and actually establish, this is a big buzzword in the business industry, your brand. And how do you establish your brand? Now, I'm going to do some flagrant marketing myself here because I just recently wrote an ebook on how to write an effective resume, which is available on my website, executivecareercoaching.com. And I go into details on how to really establish your brand, and that's really critical. It's about that first few seconds in marketing where you look at the resume and you go, okay, I'm interested in this guy, because that's all you have. And that's the same with all marketing, television, any type of marketing. You have seconds. So establishing your brand and marketing yourself in the right way, it's a broad statement, but it's what's critical.
Gotcha. And let me ask you this. What do you think, because you mentioned, again, a couple times about finding the right audience. You know, back in the day when the economy was good, people would, or companies would hire people and kind of sometimes, you know, make room for them and things of that situation. What about today? I mean, right now, is it still that way? I mean, do you think that if your background, let's say, is sales and marketing, like this guy's is, sort of, would it also be good for him to maybe look at other directions, or should he just stay in his area?
Well, you know, you have to go with what your passion is, because if you don't like what you're doing, you're not going to do well anyways. But nowadays, it isn't just we're hiring a sales and marketing guy. We're hiring a sales and marketing guy that sells to this exact customers, that sells this exact product, and has sold it in this exact quantity. So you've got to, you know, I make a joke that, you know, we're looking for a guy with one red eye and one blue shoe. You know, I mean, it's unbelievable how picky people are.
Right.
So
yeah,
it's
so you really have to know who your hiring audience is and just really niche that resume down to them. You got to be able to speak to that audience only.
Exactly. So the better approach is not to write a resume that's like a big net that goes out to everyone, that everyone's going to love you, because they won't. It's to identify exactly the companies and jobs that you should be working at and reaching out to them very specifically. And if you have to write 3 resumes, then write 3 resumes. You know, that's the key. Isn't to write one catch-all resume. It's actually the opposite, to focus in and be more particular. And there are definitely methods to find those kind of companies that you should be applying to.
Okay, so I just got this question, and we're almost out of time. So the question is, this guy's been looking for a job, and he says, what's the right amount of pages, or is there such a thing? I've heard 1 page. I've heard, you know, it doesn't matter. I've heard 2 pages. What's the right amount of pages on a resume?
Okay. It's a very simple answer. The right amount of pages depends on what kind of a life you lead. If you're a college student and your resume is 5 pages too long, then you've probably listed every Facebook friend on your resume. If you're a vice president of sales and you have a 1-page resume, it's probably in a font of about 7 points. So the truth is, the length of a resume is based upon the length of your career and what you do. Now, if you have a PhD, you might have a 7-page resume because the last 2 pages are patents that you have, and that's appropriate for that resume. So the misnomer is resume writing services tell you it has to be a certain length. That's because they don't want to write anymore. That's all it is.
I love it. Hey, Carl, we're out of time. I'd love to bring you back and talk more about this. Guys, if you're looking for a job, maybe you just need some help with your executive career, check out executive-careercoaching.com. Carl Schumacher, thank you so much for stopping by and sharing.
Good talking to you, Bert, as always.
All righty. Guys, that wraps it up. We are out of here. As always, we'll see you tomorrow.
Tune in Monday through Friday here on Money for Lunch, and check out our website at moneyforlunch.com.